Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, recovering homeless guy. There's my lamp, my reading lamp. Sometimes I read in bed. It's really nice. I got it on Etsy. I want to share some exciting news. I had a really strange dream last night, and it actually kind of scared me and made me uncomfortable. And I get these when I get dehydrated. I don't know what it is. I go through so much freaking water. No, it's not, whatever condition you might think it is. I just go through water. I've been doing this for years. Like, I just go through a lot of water. And when I get dehydrated, too, it really makes me tense and all. I just have to chug lots of water, and then I excrete lots of water. But the dream was, well, it was influenced, I think, by the movie In the Line of Fire. This not good film I saw last night, and I just started skipping through it because I'm like, this is bad. This is like vintage, like nothing completely matters. This is like, because everything's happening in a world where we understand movies just like do this. I call it just like, I don't know how to call it, but it's where like everything has such a sheen and the reality is stripped away just to make it like, this is what movies do. I call it that because in the opening scene, Clint Eastwood and Dylan Mulroney, they're two Secret Service agents who are undercover sneaking into this counterfeiting ring, and Dylan Mulroney, Dermot Mulroney, Dermot Mulroney. He's busted as a SS. Shit, what do I say? I was gonna say CIA, then I said SS. I did not mean that. Oh, yeah, well, as a Secret Service agent, and they put a bag over his head and they choke him. And Clint Eastwood's all cool, and he's like, "Okay, give me my gun back now. Like, we're good. You can kill that guy." And then he takes his gun and calmly shoots two guys there and arrests another one and takes the bag off Dermot Mulroney's head. And then they just walk away and they're like totally calm about it and joking about it later. And Dermot Mulroney is like, "Hey, you weren't actually gonna kill me, were you?" Because there was a moment where the counterfeiters gave a gun to Clint Eastwood, very dumb, and said, "Okay, if you're not in the Secret Service, you kill him." And Clint Eastwood pulled the trigger, but the gun was empty. Like, it was just a test. And I'm like, all this would be incredibly, first of all, it's an incredible, I'm sure, like a breach of protocol and all, and traumatizing, and killing two people like it's nothing, and walking away like, hey, that's just what movies do. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, hey, that's just what movies do. And Clint Eastwood and him are walking down a hall somewhere in some DC building, and Dermot Mulroney's like, you knew the gun was empty, right? Like, you could feel it. He's like, yeah, I kind of did. Yeah. Like, it might have had one in the chamber, whatever. And Dermot Mulroney, instead of being horrified and being like, this is, like, you need to be put on leave. This is completely unethical and reckless, and you risked my life for nothing. And also, there would be a big investigation if you killed two people, if you shot two people, and you're in the Secret Service, and you would be put on leave, I think, and you'd have psychological impacts on you, unless you're a total sociopath, which certainly some in law enforcement are. And or at least they don't seem to have any problems with killing people. Like, thinking about the guy who, anyway, I don't want to talk, it's just so gross. But, I've heard interviews with at least one cop who, he's like, yeah, my conscience was totally clean. It was Eric Brown, right? He shot him. I don't like even saying that, because it disturbed my dreams. Like, I'm like, oh, I already don't like this. Like, the craft is amazing. It's well made, but I can tell everything's just superficial. And Clint Eastwood is traumatized because he was a Secret Service agent when Kennedy was president, and he was there when Kennedy was assassinated. but none of it's played for real psychological impact. And the nature of the person who's now threatening the president, John Malkovich's character, the first moment he appears, I'm like, oh, this is so cheap and cloying at the audience, because they could show his face, but they just film him in extreme close-up and in shadows to show you that he's evil. And John Malkovich is really good at the role, but the writing isn't great. So he hates Clint Eastwood's character, and he wants to taunt him, and completely blows his own plan, and nearly blows his own plan multiple times by getting so close to him and getting chased. Absolutely ridiculous. And it just, for people who like the idea of this happening but don't want to see the implications of it, like someone who's traumatized by it, and then they actually show the footage of JFK getting assassinated. I just went like, whoa, like, you're actually just showing someone getting killed, like, hey, it's just a movie, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, that's actual film of somebody getting, oh God. I don't like the moral implications of it. It's not like I'm just squeamish around blood, although I don't want to see like actual footage of somebody, losing their life. But I'm like, oh, it's demeaning to me, because it's like, it's a waste of the audience's time. You're not taking this story seriously. And once Rene Russo shows up as a female Secret Service agent, whoa, Clint Eastwood's got to make crude jokes at her, and she just takes it like, you dirty old man. And I'm like, first of all, that would be incredibly demeaning for her. Like, a person who goes through that very likely wouldn't just laugh it off. I mean, she might laugh it off to not create conflict, but that would be, in all likelihood, extremely demeaning for her. It's not endearing of Clint Eastwood to do. If he's going through such psychological distress, why is he like joking and stuff, and he takes her on a date? And as soon as she showed up and they start their ridiculous flirty banter, I thought, not only do I not care about Clint Eastwood's romantic prospects in this movie, it's just put in there as like, this is something movies do. Like, the hero, a man, has to get a woman, and they have to have some tension. And it's like ably enough written, the little banter. It's just all the implications of it aren't good. And it's not taken seriously. It's like a guy talking like that. First, it's not like endearing. It's treated like, oh no, he's not belittling and bullying this woman, but he's just being a funny movie character, because that's what people in movies do. And as soon as another thing, a thought occurred to me. As soon as they meet, as soon as they met, I thought, oh, the movie's going to end with them out, like, on a date somewhere. And sure enough, that's how it ends. But I kept skipping on the DVD. I bought it at a flea market for like $1 or $2. Wolfgang Petersen directed. He did Das Boot. Love that movie. And yeah, it was just so ridiculous. And John Malkovich puts the gun in his mouth, which is so weird and awkward. There's a scene where Clint Eastwood's pointing a gun at him. But anyways, Malkovich blows his own plan completely. Like, he could have gotten away with it, except he keeps taunting Clint Eastwood because he needs to for the movie. Eastwood doesn't actually seem haunted by anything he went through. Then Dermot Mulroney gets killed by John Malkovich, and it's just, it was vulgar, because it's like, oh, it doesn't really, he's not a real character in the movie. He was always this sacrificial pawn there, because that's what movies do, is get the hero's friend killed, and the hero doesn't really suffer psychological consequences for it, and he's still trying to date Rene Russo. Again, the craft is good. There was finally one good moment where the movie kind of came alive, where the hell happened? It's like at the end when Malkovich is finally going to pull off his plan, and a bunch of Secret Service agents learn he's close, or he already gets up and fires a shot, or oh yeah, he gets up and fires a shot, but then Clint Eastwood, he achieves his goal of diving in front of the president, and he's like, it's just so weird. He's like, I'm not putting down someone for their age, like, whatever age you are is great, but he's like 60 and diving, and it's like, would he be there doing that? Like, he dives in front of the president to take the bullet for him. And it was such a corny image of, especially Clint Eastwood doing that. I don't associate him with like acrobatics and stuff. Yes, he's very fit even to this day. He's like 95, and I'm sure he's fit because he's been fit all his life. But it was just so weird. And then when the president gets taken out, like escorted out in like a massive hurry by Secret Service, I was like, oh, this is kind of well done. Like, they're actually, Wolfgang Petersen knows how to work a crowd scene. But also watching those crowd scenes, it was like making my eyes roll. I was thinking, my God, what a misery, like, to shoot that, and what a waste of resources to have these thousands of people on screen, streets closed, wetted down and stuff, all just for like shots of, this is what movies do. They have shots of people like waving at the president and all. It just seemed like such a massive waste of money. I'm like, I could make 10 movies with that budget, my own stories, where they're not big and expansive like that. They're smaller, but they go deeper into who the characters are. So now, 11 minutes into the video, my dream. So I dreamed that somehow, I don't know if I was a cop or I was like working with Al Pacino and he was a cop, you know, think Serpico era. And, but a little Glenn Ross influence, because he's doing something illegal. And then in the Line of Fire influence, doing something illegal, or taking part in counterfeiting, which is, again, the opening scene. And also, as soon as that opening scene happened, I don't like this shortcut for someone's evil, is they look kind of like unconventional. The guy who's doing the counterfeiting, I'm sure he's played other villains too, but I recognized him, I believe, as the villain Tom Cruise fights at the end of The Firm. And so immediately, it seems like some kind of business meeting. It's kind of apparent it's a counterfeiting after like a few seconds. And I'm like, oh, this guy's a bad guy, because they cast him, and because this is what movies do. They cast guys who look a little unusual. I don't know if he dyed his hair for it or not. I'm not making fun of his looks, but I don't like that shortcut of just, oh, a person looks kind of strange, or they're made to have certain affects, and that's how you know they're bad. They're brooding, they're in shadow, creepy music plays when they're there. It's like, that's all a substitute for what they're actually behaving like. I mean, their actual behavior. And also, it doesn't make sense to point to another Sidney Lumet film, not Serpico, but Prince of the City. They're like bad guys in that everybody has like a horrible moral. Well, they live in this world of very complicated morality and moral grays, and they do bad things, but they also believe themselves to be good. And I was like, give me that. I want that world. That was a much lower budget movie, about $8 million or so, and Sidney Lumet came under budget on it. I think he could have afforded to use a little more of that budget, shoot a little more coverage, or I don't know. But in the dream, Al Pacino was like a cop, and he was involved in counterfeiting somewhere. And also at the end of the line, in the Line of Fire, it takes place in this little like hotel courtyard, or hotel, not lobby, but like common area, like lounge or whatever. And then you see, it's like in an atrium, and there's an outdoor elevator that Eastwood and Malkovich end up getting in a fight with up to the end. And it's very corny too, how he gets himself out of it. Like, Malkovich wouldn't know what trick he's doing. And so you can see up like whatever 40 floors of these buildings, and this was, I don't even know where this was supposed to be, like what location, because I was skipping forward, but it was definitely not DC, because DC doesn't have buildings that tall. I don't know, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was LA or something, I don't know. What was I saying? So in this dream, we were high up, like me and Al Pacino, and he was, somehow I knew the cops had the evidence that he was counterfeiting, and he gave me like a check or something, or he issued a check to me from the counterfeit money, and then he rode away on a motorcycle. Serpico did that, right? Like down this big spiral like garage, a parking garage to the bottom of the police station. And somehow, influenced by my tiredness, he passed out at the bottom, and the police like hung on to him almost like a coat hanger, a big like wad of like blown up sheets, like copies of all his bad checks that he had been issuing and other evidence, and my name was on there, and he like wanted me to take mine and like hide it or something, or he gave me some incriminating document to destroy, and it was on there, and I was scared because the police were going to get me. Police really scare me in my dreams. All my life they have. Because also the dreams are also like whatever crime happened, it happened before the dream. So it's like very paranoid for me that like the police want me for something I didn't even have control over, I didn't do. So he's at the bottom of this parking garage, passed out, and he's got all the evidence on him. And that was scary, and I woke up disoriented. And then a couple hours later, I fell asleep again. Yeah, I wasn't sleeping great. And it's also daylight savings. That's suspicious, too. I don't know if that affected my dream. Then I dreamed there was more to it, where a cop was like trying to question me and get my attention, but I was so tired, so if I ignored him, and he didn't pursue it too hard, and I'm like, oh, good. If I don't respond to him, he was like kind of, you know, casting judgment on me. He's like, okay, you're going to hide that, huh? You're not like, you're going to hide that evidence? We got the evidence. You tried to hide it. But I was like, but he was like far away from me, and I didn't respond, and he kind of left me alone. And I thought, good, because it like, when we go to trial, my lawyer can say, did you ever get a response from Angelo? No? Oh, so how do you even know he heard you? Like, you're saying he was hiding evidence and trying to avoid talking to you, but he never even, did he ever turn around? Did he look at you? So it's like going to work out in my favor. And then I had a dream. I was like at the Alamo Drafthouse, but it was a mix of that and the Secret Movie Club here in LA. And the Alamo Drafthouse, because they're now owned by Sony, and Sony is doing typical big corporate moves to cut staff and not treat the employees that great. They're trying to offer more stuff you can sell to people other than movies. So like they were selling some kind of premium membership, which itself was influenced by watching Office Hours Live, Tim Heidecker's podcast, talking about Patrick Bet-David's podcast, where they're offering this membership to a cigar lounge they have, ranging on 3 tiers, about $5,000 for silver, $10,000 for gold, and $16,000 for platinum for this cigar lounge. And with the platinum one, I think you get 2 boxes of Patrick Bet-David cigars. But it was influenced by that ripoff idea. Like, what the hell, man? Good God. Like, just the incredible excess of it. Like, if you want to have community, just join community. Maybe like a cost to it, you know, if it takes money to put together. But I'm in like a skate community and biking communities, and like you can just meet people and have fun. And if you can't afford skates or a bike, first of all, you can get low cost or free bikes sometimes, but you can get really good deals too. And maybe you can't even then, whatever. But they're pretty low barriers if you just want to meet people. And that's aside from this capitalist hell in which you have to have 2 jobs in a lot of cases, or you can't afford to go out, or you're just so depressed from your life because you're working all the time. So anyways, all these communist politics and ideas are swirling around in my head while I'm sleeping. And resumed their dream where, and I watch Majority Report a lot, so with Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland. So I got a ticket at the Alamo Drafthouse, but it was like another area. Now I remember, it was like an old bar I worked at where they had a kiosk where this young Asian woman was like, every day I'd go in and she'd be like, hey, you want tea over here? Because there's a farmer's market I go to where people are offering like free samples of tea, and I did buy a bag of jasmine tea. It's quite good. It's $30. And so it's like every day I was going in there into this sort of like farmer's market / bar / corporate chain movie theater where the boss at the old bar I worked at was there, and I somehow bought a ticket from a vending machine to get like the club access into this business, this Alamo Drafthouse, and I finally found my ticket, or I left my ticket. I couldn't get access to it, but then I found it later, and I found a ticket for Steven Crowder somehow. The horribly bigoted, misogynist conservative. And I walked around different areas, and it sucked. It was just like big, empty, like event hall spaces where there were like staff there putting stuff together for the more exclusive events. And then Emma Vigeland criticized this promotional offer on Majority Report for saying, for being like compartmentalized. She's like, yeah, you only get access to certain parts of the 6 places within this whole event hall complex. And then that cop was there still looking for the evidence, because I guess the Steven Crowder ticket was evidence of something. And he was the one demanding that I show the evidence and stop hiding it. And I just kept my back to him and ignored him. And so, yeah, now I'm feeling kind of dehydrated, and I'm going to tell my doctor about this whole dream, this whole thing. I'm going to show him the video, and let me know what you think. And that's my life. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.